Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, March 21st, 2014. Yesterday, Standard & Poor's and Fitch both downgraded the credit rating of Russia. The Financial Times is reporting that foreign counterparties are scrambling to reassess their dealings in Russia as shares in the Moscow stock market dropped. Bank Rossiya, the only company to be named in the American sanctions, and described by Washington as, quote, the personal bank of senior officials of the Russian Federation, announced that Visa and MasterCard had both suspended payment processing services to all of its clients. Russian Central Bank announced shortly thereafter that if necessary, they would provide full support for Bank Rossiya. Legal experts warned this morning that European and American companies who do business with Russia and Ukraine should take action immediately to protect themselves from unfolding sanctions. One lawyer with Pinsett Masons, an international law firm, said, it looks like sanctions will be ratcheted up in the next few weeks, and if a business does not have a contractual entitlement to suspend the contract, they risk huge losses. Separately, Dmitry Medvedev, Russia's prime minister and former president, threatened this morning to raise Ukrainian gas prices and sue the country for $11 billion in money that they owe Moscow. This threat came only hours after the new Ukrainian Prime Minister Yatsenyuk signed a treaty with the European Union that embodied the political elements of the trade pact. This is the same treaty that sparked the insurrection against former President Yanukovych, because he announced that he was going to repudiate the treaty before it was ever signed, after the parliament had approved it. So the situation in the Ukraine continues to be dicey, although President Putin announced this morning that he will no longer plan any further sanctions against the Americans. So at least at their end, they seem to be trying to cool it off a little bit. The international team hunting for Malaysian Airlines Flight 370, which has now been missing for 2 weeks, did not turn up anything yesterday. It's now nighttime over there, and searching is largely suspended. The acting Prime Minister of Australia, a gentleman named Warren Truss, who is in the position of acting as the actual Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, is on a state visit to Papua New Guinea, held a press conference to say nothing of any particular significance has been found. He said that the wreckage that was spotted by the satellite still has not been discovered, and acting Prime Minister Truss said, something that was floating on the sea that long ago may no longer be floating. It may have slipped to the bottom. One wonders whether or not acting Prime Minister Truss simply scheduled the press conference in the absence of his boss to get his name in the media. Talbot underwriting part of Bermudian reinsurer Validus announced today that its profit at Lloyd Syndicate 1183 increased by 70% compared to last year. Their overall combined ratio went down from 91% down to 80.6%. That's a big, big plus. Turkey has restricted access to Twitter only hours after the Prime Minister Erdogan threatened to shut it down after users published claims of corruption against him. Any Twitter user found a site that popped up immediately saying that as a result of Turkish court decisions, the site had to be shut down. According to the state-run news service in Turkey, authorities have technically blocked access to Twitter because their servers had ignored orders to remove some links deemed illegal. The president of Turkey, a gentleman named Abdullah Gül, who has 4 million Twitter followers of his own, denounced the ban and said that a ban on social media platforms cannot be approved. First Lady Michelle Obama of the United States is in China. She's in China with her mother and her 2 daughters. She's being hosted by the wife of Chinese President Xi Jinping. She met earlier today with the actual president himself, President Xi. President Xi said, quote, I cherish my sound working relationship and personal friendship I have already established with your husband. We stay in close touch between phone conversations and correspondence. It's interesting how the Chinese always modulate their relationship with the Americans dependent upon how close or distant we may be to the Russians. There was a 2.7 earthquake in Universal City in Los Angeles last night at about 7:17 p.m. The epicenter was about 6 miles from Beverly Hills. For the past 10 days, there has been one earthquake measuring 3.0 and greater centered nearby. We only report this because this could be a signal of something to come, who knows. Pilots at Germany's Lufthansa airline have voted to strike. This is in part of a long-running pay dispute with the airline. The union has not set any dates for a strike, but 97.2% of all the pilots at Lufthansa, Lufthansa Cargo, and the company's budget airline, German Wings, voted to strike. Lufthansa has been trying to cut costs amid tough competition from European budget carriers and from aggressively expanding government-owned Gulf airlines. Well, you may be aware of this from the news, but the apparent girlfriend of Rolling Stone's Mick Jagger, a woman named L. Ren Scott, a fashion designer, committed suicide in New York the other day. It caused the cancellation of 7 concert dates for the Rolling Stones in Australia and 3 in New Zealand. The company that is sponsoring the tour is Frontier Touring. They've confirmed that they're working on new Australian concert dates. It's unknown who has the event cancellation insurance with them. Mr. Jagger and the Rolling Stones left Perth, Australia, out in the western part of the country, the Hyatt Regency, yesterday at 2 p.m. They filed into 5 separate cars in a military-style motorcade. Police closed roads while detectives and uniformed police, some wearing bulletproof vests, escorted the band to the airport. Each of the 5 cars had heavily tinted glass, along with rear window curtains. Pilots lodged a flight plan at the Perth airport, listing Abu Dhabi as its first destination. From there, apparently, Mr. Jagger flew to Los Angeles, where he apparently is now. Interestingly enough, the Rolling Stones airplane flew directly over the area where the search for Malaysian Airlines 370 is going on. That's the news for today. Have a good weekend. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you Monday.